sat down and watched a movie or a TV show and you really like that show, that movie? I said the show was pretty good. It didn't have that many things. You didn't have any issues with the movie. I mean, it was pretty good. But for some reason, you just never wanted to watch that show again. It's pretty much this show. What's up, YouTube? It's RSMario here, bringing you another anime review. One of two anime reviews. I'm going to attempt to try to get out one every week. This is also Poketober, so I'm also doing a Pokemon video every week. So it should be interesting to see if I can get this with other videos I have planned. But yeah, so the show we're gonna review today is, I hate this word. It's Angolmois Record of Mongol Invasion. I hate that word. But yeah, so this show follows Kunoichi. He's a kind of a dishonored samurai. He lost his clan in a series of unfortunate events that happened to him. Kind of shady events. Hopefully they'll touch base with him later. But he loses his clan. He ends up pretty much on a ship, probably to death row. And the ship, of course, gets diverted, and they end up on the Japanese island of Tsushima. They end up getting served a meal by the Princess of Tsushima, only to learn that the reason they're there is because they're going to fight a Mongol invasion. So they're like, screw this, we're out. But yeah, the show itself, that's pretty much the story in a nutshell without really spoiling anything. It's a military action show. I mean, it's about military tactics, trying to fight the Mongols. And, you know, it's kind of like Arslan. It's kind of like the heroic legend of Arslan, with the exception is this is a real historical event, and it doesn't play around with you, okay? It's not like, oh, this is the underdogs, we save the day. Like, no, it's not like that. Like, they do have underdog victories over the Mongols, but each victory comes at a cost. Okay, there are consequences. People die. Like, characters you get kind of connected to die, and it's not just like some, oh, he got shot with an arrow. It's like, nah, bro, he's got like a freaking hole in his chest the size of a grapefruit. It's like, man, the deaths in this show are ridiculous. And again, there's not a lot wrong with the show. Like, I mean, the story is interesting. I mean, you know, there's a lot of layers to this, because there's a lot of, like, of course, there are underdogs fighting the Mongols. There are betrayals. Like, if there's somebody who's doing a real top 10 anime betrayals, this show would at least have 2 spots on that list. But there are betrayals, and there are consequences to the actions that Kunoichi takes. Like, there's literally a scene in here, like, if you remember the Vivica Fox scene from Kill Bill. You remember how that whole situation ended? Yeah, there's something like that in this show. An exact situation like that in this show involving Kunoichi and somebody else. So yeah, the show definitely has a lot of consequences. The show's fight scenes are really good. The fight scenes are definitely solid. This show, for a guy who, this is his first rodeo when it comes to directing. Like, he's been an episode director of things like Recreators, which, of course, the fight scenes, I can see where he gets that from. But, he's never really directed a whole show by himself. This is his first time being a head director on an entire series. And I have to say, bravo, sir. You did good. But yeah, the action scenes are really good. With the exception of maybe one that you can't see. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But like I said, there's not a lot of cons with this show. I mean, another pro is the show is very historically accurate. Like, they go into a lot of, like, deep cuts into Japanese history with different, like, gods and different tribes. And if I'm not mistaken, the guy, the King of Tsushima, if I'm not mistaken, is based on the actual King of Tsushima. And you can tell because the actual King of Tsushima got pwned so hard, his picture don't even work no more, bruh. His picture gone. That's how hard they pwned him, bruh. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's very historically accurate. Like, because the Mongolians at this point had taken over a great deal of territory on the mainland of Asia. So they would of course had an army similar to that of the Persians that is comprised of different countries, mainly Koreans, Northern Chinese, Song Chinese, and Mongolians. And there are different, you know, divisions of this army with different generals that all have kind of sort of different reasons. Like, some of them want to, you know, capture chicks. They don't want to kill them. Can only imagine why. There are other ones that are just in it for the money. They're in it for the treasure. There's another general who's in it for glory. There's another dude who pops up in episode 1 and you never see him again, which kind of sucks because that was one of the best fight scenes in the show. The only thing I can really think that's bad about the show is the ending, but the manga is ongoing, so I can understand why, you know, and if hopefully, you know, the show gets a season 2. The other big con I have is probably the stupid paper filter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you look closely, there is a filter over the entire show that makes it look like a scroll, you know, it makes it look like parchment paper. And I don't know what they were going for, like this olden time look, like you're looking at the actual records of the Mongolian War and it's coming out the page at you and it's a story. I get that, you know, I mean, Megalobox, you know, downscaled their video to make it look like it was converted from a VHS, and that worked out and made it look gritty and cool. This doesn't. It doesn't. It does not. Like, I mean, at points, it does look really, really nice, but those are points where the scene is very, very bright, where there's a lot of colors going through, a lot of strong colors. There's one scene where Kenichi is under the ocean. Like, that scene, things pop very well. But there's one scene in particular, one fight scene, I think it's episode 1, if I'm not mistaken, where this filter, it just screws up everything. And it got a lot of working against it, because one, the scene's in the dark, it's raining on the boat, and they're fighting because, of course, they're prisoners, so they're gonna mutiny, and they're fighting on the boat, and you can barely see what's going on because the stupid rain effect and the scroll thing just don't work together, you know, and it was annoying to watch, but beyond that, the show itself was really good. It's just the show, like, the characters, you kind of get connected to the characters, even though you don't have enough time to really build that repertoire with the characters, or rapport, I mean, with the characters. But you do, through all these underdog victories, kind of want to see them win, but you don't get enough time to really build a relationship with the characters before they start J.R. Martining people, you know? I mean, so, yeah, that kind of sucks, but it also kind of works with the story, because it's being an underdog story, you know, stuff like that's going to happen. But overall, I have to say, it's one of the best anime I've seen this season, probably this year. It gets a B. So that's about it, folks. How do you feel about the show? Are you going to check out the show because of the review, or are you not? I mean, because you really should. If you're into historical anime, you should totally check this show out. And as always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, and keep it real. 水面に浮かんでいるこの葉のように僕ら行く先も知れず泣かされた戦い